one of the really important ways of minimizing failure and also minimizing the input that you have to put into your garden is engaging in compost and soil enhancement, because you were speaking about environmental stock and enhancing the stock of nutrients and building carbon sinks and all that. And the waste management is really part of that, as I see it. So if you have a really good soil, you've got much less risk of bugs and mildew and all that, because you've got healthy, strong plants. My other build on to that is also about the non-commercial availability and the access to land, because there are systems that exist in different parts of the world, like time banking and community exchange systems, that enable people to build community links with trust, so that people who don't have a garden of their own, but who can have access to share gardening, where they share the result of their gardening process with the people who own the land. And those links can only be built in a community where there is actually trusting links. You can also sell or exchange your produce in that kind of parallel market, which makes it available to people who don't have normal New Zealand dollar income. So that's different ways of dealing with that. And if you're interested in speaking about complementary currencies and that kind of things, you're welcome to speak to me afterwards.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Ellen O'Doig. I'm in the City Communities Unit at the Wellington City Council, and I'm a point of contact for the Community Garden Network in Wellington. A couple of points in terms of resources in the city, because I really take your point, Jane. I found the conversation fascinating, the presentation. There is an organisation called Operation Green Thumb in Wellington, which is led by a woman called Sue Boyle, who provides that sort of input, as you're saying, to minimise failure and to enhance performance. And a lot of her work is done around the city housing units. And we have established a community gardens network of people. There are people all over the city doing a sorted range of community gardens, and the next meeting is on August the 10th. If you're interested in joining that group, it's a very loose affiliation of people, but there are a whole range of resources in that network. People are welcome to come and share that.
Thank you. I was just going to wonder if the group over here, because it's part of the Sustainable Cities, we have 6 master's students working on topics, and actually initially they all wanted to work on gardens. I had to say, well, there are co-benefits, but there are other things, but I wonder if we could... Charles is one of them, but
that's something that
okay.
Hi, I'm Simon Teague from Victoria University, and I just thanks for a good talk. You've given me lots of things to follow up on, but I just wanted to make a sort of rather controversial point that kind of touches on Tony's issue of time poverty, and something I've struggled with in my own research, and suggest a sort of alternative framing, and rather I sort of went down this track of framing it as a response to climate change, but now I've switched and kind of expanded the system boundary into a response to collapse. So, which touches on the issue of essentially that the industrial economy is failing, and the informal economy will sort of step in to replace it in many respects, and that may touch on that issue of time poverty to some extent.
You're saying there are going to be more people unemployed?
Essentially, yeah.
Jane, did you want a response to imminent collapse of Western?
No, I don't.
Actually, interestingly, when we were in Cuba, I mean, they're organic farms. Their commune started when the the Russian Empire collapsed and they were no longer, their oil was no longer subsidised, and they realised what a high proportion of their economy was, well, they always knew, underpinned by Russian money, but also by having cheap oil, and they had to work out a kind of agricultural production that was not oil-based. Charles is one of the people who is doing a master's in this area.
I was also thinking about the time property thing, and I was going to ask the same question, so I'm glad that Tony asked it. But so I don't really have a question, but rather than just a comment, which is, I kind of look at there being two main routes to the development of community gardens, and one is that crash scenario where you do it because you absolutely have to, and the other is the joy scenario, which is the one that Simon and I are currently involved in Ara Valley, and also the project that I'm working on out in Porirua is also about where, you know, we have the land, we have the skills, we don't actually need it at the moment. I mean, we, you know, have incomes and we can buy food from the supermarket, but because there's that joy there, there's the infrastructure developing so that when the proverbial does hit the fan, we that will be in place. And I think in some ways, rather than preaching the collapse, if we preach the joy and then encourage people, well, and I garden because I love it, and I think that that's something that, like you had in your model there of the connection of diet to connection with nature, and I think sort of, you know, the more focus that goes on that angle of finding ways for people to engage in their natural environments and to promote that as a source of spiritual and physical well-being, then when the time for necessity comes, it's an easy transition rather than suddenly finding yourself needing to grow food but having no idea how to use a spade, I think. So.
I have to say, time poverty, Charles helps us to our garden. It's never not so good.